Affairs Minister Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi has confirmed that convicted rapist and murderer Thabo Bester does not exist in the country's national registration ID system. Motsoaledi says his department never issued a passport either to Bester. Interesting developments there from that minister's briefing. Let's get some more reaction, bringing in immigration attorney now, Gary Eisenberg. He's also a director at Eisenberg and Associates. Gary, good afternoon. Welcome to today, and thank you very much for your time. I guess when you come to the matters of passports, then you think immigration. And I mean, Thabo Bester and Dr. Nandipha Makutumana were arrested just south of the border with Kenya, in the northern parts of Tanzania, in that Arusha region. And it looks like they moved. They would have crossed a number of borders.
Yes, indeed, Bradan. That's true. They've got no record of either of them crossing through Bay Bridge, which is the border post, the South African border post, passing into Zimbabwe. And this is, of course, not the first time this has happened. We remember Prophet Bushiri did exactly the same thing without ever being encountered there. In order to go back to Malawi. So while the minister gave a very helpful narration this morning, I must say very detailed, and he speaks about border technology, drones and motion sensors and so on, we should concentrate really on what's going on at Bay Bridge. This has been a perennial problem. It's never been resolved, and people to this very day walk through with impunity and not having their passport documents in their possession, not having their passport documents endorsed by border control on our side. And this is a problem that the minister really needs to look at seriously and resolve.
Yeah, because, I mean, when he was answering some of the questions around, did Thabo Bester use a passport or Dr. Makutumana, he says, well, unless it is stamped and processed at the port of entry, we won't know. And people, that means then they would have crossed illegally. But that problem exists in Bay Bridge, and that's our immediate challenge. But further up the chain, I mean, from Zimbabwe to go to Tanzania, you still have Malawi, or you go through Mozambique, but we know there is war in northern Cabo Delgado province of Mozambique. So I wonder which route they took. We'll find out those details, of course, when their trials begin. But the point is, what can you do? I mean, from an immigration perspective, we are exposed. That's the sense I'm getting. If you had any doubt about the porous nature of our land borders, this is a good example of how really easy it is to go through illegally or undetected.
Yes, I think that's the second problem. The first problem is what the minister alluded to this morning in his press conference about people in South Africa who are perhaps South African citizens, who have never had their births registered and are therefore not on the population register. They are legal ghosts in South Africa, up to all kinds of shenanigans, not being on anybody's register, not being on anybody's radar screen, and leaving the country like ghosts. And therefore, South Africa's sovereignty is being challenged often. And this is a particular case, particular interest case, where the entire issue is brought to the surface. And now publicly, this has become a hot potato for the minister to deal with. But it is a real problem in South Africa. We don't know how many people there are, legal ghosts not having their particulars on the South African population register. And this is another problem that South Africa is confronting.
Yeah, from an immigration perspective, I mean, besides improving border management, as the minister alluded to earlier, using technology on the one hand, the registration of a newborn is up to the parents. And in this case, we also had Slindelo Masigane speaking to the mother, Macy Mabaso, earlier, saying she never registered him.
I don't think this is a unique problem. In my legal practice, we often see South African citizens, by the way, born all over the world, of a South African citizen parent, and our citizenship legislation does not distinguish really between a human being born in South Africa or outside of South Africa, of at least one South African citizen parent. Those are all South African citizens, and the difference between being recognized as such and not being recognized as a South African citizen is the registration of birth. Nobody is forced to register their birth in South Africa. And therefore, this is a problem that persists. Just like Thabo Bester, for whatever reason, the mother didn't register his birth with the Department of Home Affairs. And there could be a myriad, millions of reasons why parents don't do that. As I say, in my practice, sometimes people come to me at the age of 20 or 30 years old and their births have not been registered. It's not so easy at an advanced age to convince the Department of Home Affairs that they were born of a specific parent, especially if that parent is deceased. Home Affairs is very suspicious of birth documents, especially if a person is of advanced age and comes voluntarily to the Department of Home Affairs. So I think there are two sides of the same coin. The Department of Home Affairs should encourage people to come forward, but also don't make it too difficult to have their births registered in this country.
What about our neighbors? I mean, from an immigration perspective, immigration comes in when a citizen moves from their country to a different country. I mean, we're seeing with the ease with which our borders are being penetrated.
Yes, indeed. Well, this is about border management, and this is a problem everywhere, including the United States of America, with the most advanced border systems in place. So human beings are predatory. Where there are sufficient pull factors and push factors, human beings are going to migrate under the fence, over the fence, illegally, bribery, corruption. People will find a way to get to the other side if there's enough incentive to do so. And this is what happens in most countries in the world, including the most developed in Europe and in Asia and in the United States. So this is not a problem that is unique to South and Southern Africa at all.
Yeah, you know, I was just wondering on that score, when it comes to immigration, how easy or difficult it is to lay your hands on passports nowadays. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen the picture. The minister didn't even confirm it to us. He says he can't even say whether that passport that says it's an American passport that Thabo Bester was found with under the name Tom Williams is genuine or not, or it's fraudulently acquired or whatever. But from an immigration perspective, I mean, what kind of measures do you think, and what you are hearing in your practice as you deal with these issues, could assist? Besides what you had the minister say, where are the other gaps? Because people seemingly can manufacture passports just like that.
Well, as you know, on the black market, anything is available. Drugs, bombs, passports, and identity documents from every country. This is not a world I inhabit, so I don't know where to look. But certainly, from speaking to my clients and speaking to other people, these documents exist for sale all over the place. I mean, just a scan of some historical archive material will tell you that, certain terrorists in Somalia have been found with South African passport documents. Fake passport documents get washed up in foreign borders, London, for example, at Heathrow in the day, and this is why the United Kingdom began imposing strict visa requirements on South African passport holders because so many fake passports were turning up there. So it is a problem that South Africa as a sovereign state has been dealing with perennially, and other countries have been dealing with also. The problem also, Bradan, let me say, is that for somebody to comply with laws, passport application laws, immigration laws, not only in South Africa but other countries, these compliance procedures may be so draconian, may be so difficult that the demand may push people to use other measures to accomplish those ends, which are not procedurally compliant, through bribery, through counterfeiting, and so on. So where there's a will, there's a way. If somebody wants a document, they'll find a way of getting hold of them, no matter how difficult it is from a legal perspective to acquire them correctly.
Okay, Gary, thank you very much for your time and insights this hour here on Today on ENCA. That's immigration attorney Gary Eisenberg, director at Eisenberg and Associates Inc.